We're live.
We're live. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Nerdy Up North podcast. It's a nerdy podcast hosted by Northern Nerds. I am losing my voice, but I am Sam.
Oh, bless. She's alive. She didn't die.
I
Is it,
didn't.
would it be in black and white? Is this, have we went back in time in spooky times?
Am I a ghost?
So yes, I am the other host, Paul, and my throat is a lot better. I can swallow again, so good times all around.
Good to know.
That's why I'm here.
And yes, we've got Joe.
No, sorry,
Immediately lowering the tone.
Yes.
we have Joey Marx with us today.
Who has the best tash? Like I say, I did put an effort in, but Joe's tash is remarkable. So he just
I considered boot polishing my eyebrows, but I thought,
where would that stop? Where would it go?
best not to start.
So yes, right. So we're a little bit out of sorts because Sammy has returned after dropping out last week and after dying, and to be fair, we've got the two dropouts from last week. Because both of you were meant to be on the Star Wars episode, so I'll give both of you shit now. So yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I really couldn't make last week. I was so poorly. Becca and Sarah will contest to this. They saw me on Saturday night and I was just dying. So yes, I'm back. I'm alive. It was all a lie. Paul feeding you bullshit.
And poor Joe was tied up in some kind of basement because Nicole went up to see him. So he hasn't managed to escape and untie them bonds.
We're
so glad you're here with us, Joe.
Yeah, the difficult part is getting the doctors to reattach my hands afterwards. Because I have to chew through the wrist.
No.
Yes. So it's Joe's quite a special guest today, though. That's the thing, because we've had guests on the podcast before, so it's not a new thing to have a guest, but this is our first guest on the classic episode. So we are taking it up a level.
Welcome to the classy side, my friend.
This is the classy section now.
Classy section. I feel like I should have a cigar, like Ellie.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Toots.
So yes, Joe put up a fight more than she ever did, but yeah. I totally butchered that line.
You didn't. But... Yes, welcome to the classy side, my friend.
But yes,
this is where we get all classy.
So yes, so Sammy, would you like to give us the disclaimer?
Yes, if I can say it without losing my voice. So, everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Facebook page. You could join us in the Discord or the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Very well said.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, can I just say a massive thank you to Jake for doing it amazingly last week. I did stick around at the beginning just to make sure that was done.
To be fair, that's the only thing you were doing. You were popping in the chat in when you're going to say the disclaimer. Is the disclaimer going to be said yet? You've went too long without saying the disclaimer.
Well, no, what I was trying to do in the chat was convince people I'd not died.
To be fair, if you did die, we'll put like a memorial sign or like we did for the Christopher Reeve. Oh, can I do that?
I was like, the way to put you in black and white because you're still so pale that you are dead, and we're just weekended burning you.
Yes.
I'm being remotely controlled by they're doing a piss poor job of it.
Being all classy and stuff like that. Damn me. So funny. Oh, so many plans, so many things. I know Sammy's going to do the taglines, and yes, this movie does have taglines, which is quite exciting. But just to kind of give like a little bit of, because when it comes to like the classic section of the podcast for the next 12 months, shall we say, we're going to do like a month by month choice. So this was my choice, and I think me and Joe share kind of like a similarity why we kind of love these movies. I was talking off screen and talking before. This is why basically as soon as we said we're going to do the Marx Brothers, I think I sent Joe a message saying, I know you can't do Star Wars, but we're doing the Marx Brothers next week. You've told us you love it. Would you be up for it? We've kind of like grew up like our parents and my dad and my grandfather was the ones who got me into the Marx Brothers. They showed us like films like Clash of the Titans, other like say like It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, those type of
Oh,
movies that like say were had to watch like John Wayne, Calamity Jane, stuff like that was things that was just on my house all the time as I was a kid. So black and white movies was not something that I was ever like kind of like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from because it's strange. It was kind of like the norm, and I know
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna give away next month's, but the month like after I'm thinking probably is about like maybe go down the rounds of like Laurel and Hardy and stuff like that, um
Oh,
just for funsies.
no, the next month one is quite a serious one.
Yeah.
So maybe a light-hearted one might be good for the
Like
next
a
one afterwards.
like a palate cleanser a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes.
I didn't actually grow up with the Marx Brothers. This isn't, and for someone who loves old black and white movies, it has kind of passed us by.
Mhm.
And you know what? I'm kind of pleased I found them when I did. This last week, being, in my
Mhm.
deathbed, it's been nice having these guys with us, like to like make me laugh and learn about them as well. Like that's been the most interesting part. The film, like I said, like the film was brilliant, and
Mhm.
you, you could easily put this on today, and it still get like someone who's only watched it for the first time. I still got a genuine laugh out of it,
Mhm.
like, and I mean proper belly
Belly laughs,
laugh.
yeah.
Oh, but the interesting side is the brothers themselves,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's so refreshing to not have scandal after scandal after scandal when it comes to them. Like,
Yeah.
don't get us wrong, they're not angels,
No.
No.
but
They worked
there's a
fucking hard.
they
They
worked
busted their
so
asses.
hard.
Like that's
Mm.
that's
Yeah,
yeah.
like you don't come from vaudeville and not
Mhm.
work like
Mhm.
how they did. If you're in vaudeville, you've got a mission and an aim,
Mhm.
and they certainly had that. But I do have, for all this movie was what, in 1932, I
13.
actually 1932 I do actually have
Waiting for Chris
taglines.
to make the joke saying, "Oh, Paul was 15 when he watched these," and um,
Yeah, actually, oh yeah,
That's
Chris is in the chat.
outrageous. He was 13.
Hi to everyone in the chat tonight. Thank you for joining us. But yes, I have the taglines for
Mhm.
this movie. Now, I was explaining to these guys, for all the not like taglines of what we would find nowadays, these are
Yeah.
like more poster advertisement taglines.
Come and
Yeah.
see the
Um,
amazing Marx Brothers and their flying trapeze.
you are really not that far off on one of them.
Yeah.
The wildest picture, panic in screen comedy history.
Hmm.
That's one of them. That was on a
Okay.
theatre.
Right.
In 1938, in all
Mm.
caps.
Yeah.
It actually says in all caps. Brought back again for the laughs, in all caps. That was another theatre.
Mhm.
They go. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this. They go college gate and change rah rah into ha ha.
Rah rah.
Rah
Into
rah.
ha
We need to get Phoebe to in the chat. She's a southerner. She would, if she does a soundbite for that, rah rah would sound so much better than us saying
So
rah rah.
rah rah into ha ha.
Yeah.
A nightmare unbrindled among the Horsevarians. Oh, the shame of it. That was that was in Mount Vernon on the 30th of September 1932 in one of their newspapers. Um okay, I don't get this one. We're nuts to you. Again, that was from 1932. Oh, Mirth's four horsemen run wild through a college of love-thirsty co-eds. Yeah. Yep. That was from 1932. Lunacy becomes a pleasure as these nuts goes to college gate. They turn dear old Darwin into a monkey asylum. Twist rah into ha ha, and have a swell time while the school burns to the ground.
A swell old time.
That
I mean,
was
did they
that
watch
was
the movie? Because that doesn't happen.
No.
that was from
Well, there's a lot of weird
1932.
things like we'll get into this movie as well because it's called Horse Feathers, but there's no horses actually in the movie as well.
No, absolutely
Yeah.
not. They turn a college into a madhouse, just if Alma didn't matter.
Yeah.
And
Oh, right, yeah,
I've
okay,
got
cool.
two more. The scandalous record of low marks at college or life among love-thirsty co-eds. These are all from 1932, by the way. These are all like newspaper little printouts.
To be
And
fair, like
the
for the 1932, some of the like comedy and some of the like comments and jokes were very close to the to,
on the nose a bit.
yeah.
And the last one is the maddest comics of the screen.
That one's not bad.
No.
I mean, in comparison to lunacy becomes a pleasure.
Now,
Like, yeah.
this is one. Well, I will hold my hands up. I did make a fuck up when I chose this movie because even though I love this movie, it's not the best Marx Brothers movie. There's
I
two.
was curious
It's
about it
probably
as
the
well.
third. I would say the third. Yeah, I would say third distinct. I think on par with Night of the Opera. Duck Soup is actually a masterpiece. I honestly, comedy masterpiece. It is brilliant, and that's the one I got mixed up with. And the other one,
Right.
like, see, this is where I made the mix up because I saw Horse Feathers. I was like, I remember the horse racing one. That was hilarious. It was a Night of the Races, wasn't it?
That's
Yeah,
Day of
it
the
was.
Races, yeah.
Day of the Races. Sorry. That one is just Groucho Marx on brilliant. Like Duck Soup showcases all of them, but Day of the Races is Groucho Marx just at his best. So I did make a mess up, even though this is still probably the third best Marx Brothers film. It's still brilliant, and it showcases each and every single one of them, like
It
for their
does, doesn't.
talents.
Yeah, I felt like I got good quality time with each one of them. Like, I
Yeah.
got to know, especially for a first film, I got to know who they were. Like, I got to know Groucho is absolutely fucking hilarious. Like, he's just one after the other after the other. Comedy lines is brilliant. Harpo has my heart. Like,
Never says
100%
a
has my
word, and
heart.
he's so good at
Just
just catching your attention and charming you, isn't he?
oh,
Yeah,
100%. Chico,
he's a lovable
I
rogue. That's
it's so funny. And I was wondering where the because the character stays with him, the Italian
Yeah.
accent stays with him, and I was kind of like obviously through my little research, and I came amongst why that is. When he was younger, he used to sit and watch all the Italians going backwards and forwards through their lives just outside of his like kitchen window, and he picked up so many mannerisms and accents that he kind of just went, I'm going with that. Like I can do that. I have studied that. And Zeppo, oh, you could, and especially now knowing what I know about him, you could so tell he's not. I'm not saying he's not part of the clique, but he's kind of very distant from them. Like
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
almost like he took that a bit too serious.
He was always he's the straight man, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
not he doesn't get much comedy. He's there as
The
I
pretty
think
face type thing.
he's the pretty face. He's the one he's gonna get the love interest, which also did not happen in this
No.
movie. I'll come back to that later because that this was also my first time watching this. I had seen a lot of other Marx Brothers films, but I'd never seen Horse Feathers. So when you were like, we're reviewing Horse Feathers, I was like, wow, I get to go and watch a Marx
new
Brothers
one.
film. Yeah.
What you would deem as a new one.
I had them totally the wrong way around. I thought that in my mind, obviously I just invented this as a child, that Zeppo was the youngest and that he had joined them as a fourth member later on, but it's totally backwards. They started out with him when they worked with Paramount.
Yeah.
And then when they went MGM, he was like, yeah, it's not really for me. I'm going to do something else.
And
they became the trio.
Yeah.
What a time to get out when you join MGM. 'Cause absolutely hate them. The more I read about Louis B. Mayer, the more I just want to punch him in the face, even though he's dead. Very, very dead.
You can still punch dead people in the face.
Well, Sammy's technically dead as well, so she can just go into that realm and just give him a crack.
Give him a crack. I love the way you say that. Like
Give him a crack.
it's the most Sunderland thing you ever say. Give him a crack.
Give him a dick, dead leg. I did do a bit of research about this. Normally, I would just watch the movie and like go thing, but like I say, I've got such a love for them. I've done research for the years. I've read the books. I've read Groucho's autobiography as well, which is such an interesting read. It's always hilarious because they are super intelligent. I know we said before like how hard they busted their asses and worked. They are very secretive, or like they kind of don't want to let too many things in. It's like when people ask about how they got the names, it's like they tell the story different each time. Like even the family members tell different stories how they get the names. So when you like watch documentaries, go, like Chico was saying, well, I was called this because of that. Groucho got his name because he had a Groucho bag tied around his neck, and then other people saying, no, he's just a bit grouchy.
Yeah.
And then Harpo was like, oh, we called him Harpo because he played the harp, but again, he only started playing the harp when he started doing movies.
When they
So
started
Yeah.
touring, yeah.
so
Yeah, they said that was one thing that I saw, that it was like Harpo got his name because he played the harp. That is now being debunked.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, okay.
it's crazy. It's just like the mystery side would always keep people asking the questions, and
Yeah.
like they were that clever then. They're like, if people keep asking us questions, we're going to be keeping the public eye. We're going to keep like people's interest. Um, Interesting when Joe said about Harpo not speaking. When you read the story about how that happened, it's absolutely brilliant. And the fact that it's based on a review he got, that he says they said Harpo was mesmerizing until he opened his mouth and spoke. This is when he was on theatre. So he went from that day, I am never speaking on a show again, and he used it as a bit. And that just took over, and he never spoke on screen once from that moment.
It's so
Amazingly, I have read a different story
Right.
about
Of course.
because who knows what version of the truth is out there.
Yeah.
I'd heard that their mother Minnie, Minnie Marx.
Yeah, mini
Mini
Marx.
Marx, I love that.
She had a different surname, so they wouldn't. She used a different surname when she was managing them. Anyway, she'd promised a theatre owner that they had a fresh act just to get them on stage, because people didn't want to book them; they were going a bit stale. And they had to rush a completely new act because they couldn't do the same show that they'd been doing, and apparently never wrote any lines for Harpo. So he didn't say anything, but so he was like, right, well, I'll rely on whatever else I can do physically. But again, might not be true.
No,
What that man can do physically is just outstanding. Like the
physical comedy, like the facial
the
expressions.
physical. And you know what? When I was watching, when he came on the screen, I went, oh my God, is this where Penn and Teller? Is this where he gets his act from? Because there's so like a lot of, not the physicality side, more the expressional side is very on par, like especially the no speaking, having to do a lot with the face. But the scene in the bar, is it the bar where he's with the coins?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I couldn't stop laughing.
It got me when he walks up at the table and the guy says, "Can you cut the cards?" And he just whips the hatchet out and just boom.
Joe, I kind of like, do you know when you like that gasp where you go, that was so funny.
And one of the big reasons why I did want to showcase the Marx Brothers, or even just introduce the Marx Brothers to like the Nerdy Up North podcast, is just how talented these people is. And again, when we go back to classic Hollywood, because if you watch like an actor or an act now, they normally got two skills, or like they'll have a pretty face. Like most of them can sing or like have a performance like this. Back then, they had to do everything. They had to be like, as I said, if you wanted to be a celebrity, you had to have a presence and perform. Like musically, these people were so musically sound. Like Chico played the piano like no one has ever played,
Oh my God,
and
that
he's
was
self-taught.
beautiful.
And because the story about how he used to get sent piano pressing lessons, he only used to end up going once every 4 weeks because he was supposed to go every week, but he used to gamble away, and so every 3 weeks he probably lost, so he didn't go to the piano lessons.
That sounds about right.
But like and as you said, Harpo learned how to play the harp himself, and he became such an accomplished harpist. They flew him across as part of um to build relations with Russia. So he was actually one of the few American performers. Harpo. This is where he becomes like an absolute hero for me. And this is the story I was going to tell before. But I was going, I'll leave it to the podcast. He got flown to Russia to perform like out of makeup, like not the hair, like just as Harpo, the
just
harp.
Harpo.
Once he was there, the US thing strapped government secrets to his legs and flew him back. So he says he never his son was interviewed and said his father said he never knew what was strapped on his leg, but he said he would do anything for his country. He could have been killed by the Russians for taking secrets from Russia to America during these performances. So he was actually a spy as well for the country.
That is nuts.
That almost sounds like a plot for the film.
Yes.
Like
That does sound like a.
I can imagine it just like,
Yeah.
right, we're going to tape these things to your legs, and he's just like,
Wow. Well, maybe that's like a really good time to introduce people to the actual brothers themselves.
Yeah.
Sure.
I actually have a list of their real names and obviously their. So I'm so sorry, my nose is really running. I do
That's
apologize.
fine. We can't see, it's black and white, so the green doesn't show through.
Gosh, that. So we first off we have Leonard Joseph Chico Marx, who was born on March 22nd, 1887.
Which is weird because you wouldn't think Chico was the oldest.
No, you wouldn't.
Mm.
I would have honestly, if you had to ask us, and I didn't know, I would say Groucho,
Yeah.
definitely. But he's not. It's Chico. He was obviously, as Paul's mentioned, he was he played the piano. He was the oldest of the Marx Brothers, and I actually know where he's buried as well because this really interested me because with them being such a close knit family, I assumed they would have a plot. They don't.
Right.
They're kind of a bit spread all over the place. He's buried at Forest Lawn Memorial Park in California.
Right. Okay.
Next one is Arthur Harpo Marx, who, God bless him, was originally born
Named Adolf.
Adolf Marx.
I knew this.
He was changed to Arthur later on.
Yeah.
Harpo is the harpist. He's the second oldest Marx brother. He was born on November 23rd, 1988. So literally a year later. And Chico gets his little brother. He died on September 28th, 1964. And he's cremated and his ashes were scattered. Out of the brothers who were still alive, who was Groucho and Gummo, and Zeppo.
Yeah.
It killed it. This broke them.
Yeah.
As a family, like his death absolutely broke them. I watched an interview with Groucho's son today, who said he never got over it.
Yeah, he said it was the only time he'd seen his dad cry was at the funeral.
Was that. And then we come on to who I'd say like the main man himself, but it's only just because of his presence, like, and how, like, you know, he's very frontal with when it comes, especially what I've watched anyway, and I love this name, Julius Henry Groucho Marx.
Did you know though he was the most outlook, because if you've seen any of the Marx Brothers, I know a lot of people won't, but he would be the one that you would say is the most confident. That thing. But he wasn't. He was the most insecure. He was like terrified. He never thought they were going to make it. It was Chico who was pushing them all along. It was Chico who was the optimistic one. So it was like kind of them two paying off, which is
because he needed to pay off his gambling debts.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was born on October 2nd, 1890, and he died on August 19th, 1977. Groucho does the films, but then Groucho goes on and has a career in television and does a game show, very successful game show, until it goes to another station, then it goes tits up. But yeah, he had a really good good TV show, and he's buried at Eden Memorial Park in California. So he's quite a bit away from Forest Lawn Memorial Park. We then have the brother who didn't for all, and I say didn't, it's only because of the stuff that I've watched and seen. I didn't see him, but we then have Milton Gummo Marx. He was a vaudevillian performer, but he was the theatrical agent as well. He's kind of what helps Zeppo get into that side of it. And he was born October 23rd. She's got a time, Mrs. Marx. This is the second baby to be born in October. October 23rd, 1892, and he died on April 21st, 1977. He's the fifth Marx brother, and he is actually at Forest Lawn Memorial Park. And then the final one is Herbert Manfred Zeppo Marx. The Manfred is in honor of the first actual Marx brother.
The eldest Marx who never...
Eldest,
he died as an infant, didn't he? Or
He
was
died
it?
as a baby, yeah, and
Yeah.
he carries that name with him. It was Manny. That was
Yeah.
the name for him. But he was born February 25th, 1901. Died November 30th, 1979. He is the youngest of them, the last survivor. Obviously, and he's, until when he did. He he leaves. He actually left them. Was it during the MGM? Or did you say
Mhm.
earlier it was about
I,
Um,
I
when they
think
left
when they left Paramount.
Paramount? And then he went into the agency side of it, just like his brother Gummo.
Mm.
because
And
at
he was
Paramount, yeah, because I think with Paramount they were called the four Marx Brothers, and then when they
Yeah,
went to the
the,
MGM, it was
just
the Marx Brothers.
the Marx
yeah.
Brothers. Yeah.
He was cremated and his ashes were buried at sea. But it did kind of like I generally thought just how like because they do come across quite close knit. Like they've
Mhm.
worked together their whole entire lives. And I was like, surely they would be all together,
Well,
but
not
they're
really, because if
not.
you spent your whole life with someone, fuck, would I want to spend
Do
after
you want to be with
that?
them in death?
No.
I get that. It's just that's just where my brain goes
Yeah.
to.
It would have been nice to have like a Marx mausoleum that we could
Mhm.
all visit and pay homage, but
I
nah.
bet there is one somewhere. I bet you there is. Like where they're from, I didn't actually look into that part. I bet
I
there's somewhere where their hometown is or something.
I found as well that their parents, who were both immigrants who
Mhm.
moved to America to New York, um, also had nicknames.
Right.
Oh,
Their dad's nickname was Frenchie. He was Frenchie
Yes.
Marx,
Yeah.
and
wow.
their mother Minnie was some German name I've forgotten, but it wasn't Minnie, but people called
Mhm.
her Minnie. So I love that they all had nicknames,
Yeah.
and that this was their identity. That their dad was like a tailor, but people just called him Frenchie.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
that's class.
it's like because as you said with the nicknames, but they've all got a look as well. Because
Mhm.
when you say them, they're unmistakable. You would think when Groucho doesn't have his tash, because like I know people probably don't say it. If you look closely, that's not a real tash on Groucho.
No,
There, it's shoe
that
polish.
is it
And
should yeah.
again, he purposely did that because so when he walked around the streets, he didn't have paint on. Not many people recognized
Mm.
him. So
Yeah.
Smart.
And the eyebrows as well, just
yeah.
to break the illusion again. They're not real. And that is shoe polish. It was it was surreal to see him later on in life when he did actually grow in his own mustache. And I was like, wow, like
Mhm.
Yeah.
you are so different. What really got me about Groucho was the walk.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That walk and his face is so undeniably recognizable. Like the
Mhm.
silhouette is so,
Mhm.
it's iconic, but that walk. I was in when he walks into that room with Thelma Todd sitting on the chair,
Mhm.
and he's just the way he walks in. I'm like, I need to learn how to do that because that is just brilliant. It's so Chaplin
Mhm.
that it's like elevated to like 1,000. Like
Mhm.
that is, I appreciated that.
Mhm.
I'll just do one of my last things I picked up before we start getting into the movie because I'm really interested, like as you said, as we talked before, to hear Joe's like side of like how he got into it. Like I know we had a brief little conversation, but to learn a bit more about that. But the last thing I'll do on this point, what I thought, like, because where movies are made now, it's so like the process is completely different to what it was then, and
Hmm.
what I heard today just sounds brilliant because one thing you will notice when you're watching these movies and you think it's all time and it's all like how they must be just playing off each other and like going off there. But how the
Hmm.
timing is so tight and stuff, what they did before these movies came out, or they filmed the movies, they spent 6 months going around comedy shows, performing scenes to see what worked and what didn't work.
Right.
And the things that they got right for the timing as well is when they'd done a joke in the crowd, they would have someone backstage and time how long they would laugh. So the crowd would laugh. So when they'd perform the movie, because they didn't have like the people laughing on the movie, like because it's stage and stuff, they would tell the joke and have someone say time and say the audience will stop laughing now, and then they would go into the next thing. So that's why a lot of the jokes aren't just like rapid fire on top of each other. It gives time to breathe. And
Hmm.
for that type of dedication, and especially going back to say 1932, to have that
Mm.
nous and know-all to do that, then fucking hell, that's just blew my mind when I
Yeah.
found that out today.
It's crazy, but it's very. I think you have to understand vaudeville
Mhm.
to because that is kind of like something a vaudevillian act would do.
Mhm.
Like, I'm really impressed by that.
Mhm.
I am.
Very impressed.
Part of what I love about how they did movies was just thinking that they were the first people to be doing these things. Like there
Yes.
weren't a lot of movies in 1932, and to put something like this together, I mean, you can see the seams, you
Mhm.
can see the cracks in the process. It's not the best put together movie, but I was like they nailed a format
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's still around. You know,
Yeah.
they hit on something so good.
Mhm.
Yeah, they set a bar. The one bit in the movie that kind of got me a little bit disjointed was the scene with Thelma Todd, because the edited side of it was so poorly put together.
The cuts are
But this is this version is a movie that has been cleaned up.
Mhm.
So you have no idea, and there's also parts of it that are missing.
Mhm.
So you have no idea who's done that editing side of it,
Mhm.
because it's very
It was
choppy.
Harpo with the axe.
With the
He's
sword.
Thatcher.
Yeah, he's like, chop, cut that.
We have
Cut that.
because as I said, this was Sammy's like kind of first foray into not into not hearing the Marx Brothers, but I kind of learned about them. But Joe, I know yours experience was a little bit the same, so I would like just to find out a bit about your background with the Marx Brothers as well.
Sure. So this was actually, I'll tell you a little story.
Mhm.
In my parents' bedroom, where I rarely went because it was, not my room.
Parents.
My dad had a postcard on his wardrobe,
Mhm.
and it was just like it was in the decorate. I don't know what you call it, the flourishy bit on the wardrobe, the
Mhm.
whatever. And I looked at the postcard, and for years it was there.
Mhm.
Never knew what it was. I asked him about it once, and he was like, "Oh, it's a scene from Night at the Opera."
Mhm.
And I was like, "What's that?" And it's the postcard was the scene where everyone's piling in the room on the ship.
Mhm. Mhm.
I know what
And
that is.
and it was like the postcard was just all these
Mm.
people crammed into this scene, and I was like, what is it?" And he was like, "Right, I'm going to show you this movie."
Sit down, son.
And like the movies would always be on at Christmas time, and he would
Mm.
try his best to tape them.
Yeah.
And I think we had on tape A Night at the Opera and like half of A Day at the Races. And he absolutely loved watching that movie.
Yeah.
And then when Christmas time came around and they'd put on TV, like they'd put on Laurel and Hardy during like
Mm.
daytime viewing. And sometimes they put the Marx Brothers on, and he'd be like, "Oh, the Go West's coming on, Joe. We're gonna watch this now." And he would get so excited to
Yeah.
watch these movies, and I'd watch them with him, and they were great. When DVDs started being a
Mm.
thing, and I learned how to buy things in the shop because I was old enough, I was like, "I can buy my dad this DVD for Christmas, and he can watch it
Mm.
whenever he wants." And I think I bought him Animal Crackers.
Animal Crackers is a good one.
And we watched that, and he was like, I think he said he'd never seen it, so we watched it together for the first time, and I was like, this was a nice
You
moment.
are really getting me in the feels today.
My dad's usually a piece of shit, Sammy, so
Oh, okay. I'm not
kidding.
thinking more of. I'm not thinking more of him. I'm actually thinking more of you and the gestures you're making.
Mhm.
Oh no, it was
That's so
it was a sweet
sweet.
thing that we shared.
Mhm.
I mean, Sonia appreciates the movies as well, but I think it was very much it wasn't us thing. Sonia appreciates them for what they are technically.
Yeah.
Um, and but
Mhm.
I do remember just like Christmases, just sitting in the living room watching movies with my dad. And
And that's
So sweet.
he loved black and white stuff, especially westerns. I think you mentioned earlier, Paul.
Mm. Yeah.
That was my granddad.
I'm
He
sure
was never
John
one
Wayne
for
will
the
come up
Western
at
guys.
some point on this,
Yeah.
this journey
Oh
that we'll
yeah,
go on.
my granddad was a huge. It loved his westerns and martial art movies.
All
Oh,
right.
nice.
Yeah,
Mm.
a lot of martial art movies. That was fun watching all the dubbed voiceovers. Hilarious.
It's interesting again watching it back because I know you can't recreate or do anything like the same. But it would be amazing now to see the Marx Brothers in modern day movies and how like that would have interacted. I know it would be a completely different concept and stuff, but these guys, as I said before, is the talent is so strong. It'd be hard to like not see them as some kind of entertainers. Probably not on, as you say, a movie side, but on the stage. I would have just been blown away seeing these guys on stage. I think that's where they would have probably come alive the most. But with 35 minutes in, we haven't really talked about the movie that much.
No, yeah.
This is kind of like the
No,
experience, which is great.
We have not, because I feel like, especially someone who's, you two guys are revisiting this and I'm learning about it, it's going to be difficult to like not want to talk about the whole thing.
Yeah, they're such fascinating people.
Yes.
And I think like I couldn't tell you what his character, like I've seen A Night at the Opera a lot. I couldn't tell you what his character's name is. Sorry,
No.
what Groucho, what any of them are called in the movie.
No.
Because
And that's okay.
But that's not what's important about these as well.
No.
No, and I was totally fine with just knowing that, like, I was looking there because I've got like my notes, and one of them's the plot, and it's like seeing names in there, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? And having to go back and like, yeah, okay, that's Chico. That's Chico's name. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I get that. For all this, there's so many interesting things about these as a people. The movie facts, not a great deal, but there was one that really caught my eye. Shirley Temple.
Right.
Little Shirley Temple.
The
She came to the actress. Came to set with her parents because she wanted to she was curious, wanted to come to set, and she did. And Harpo Marx apparently went up to her parents and offered to adopt the child, and offered them $50,000 for the child.
I will buy her.
I want the child. Yeah.
Okay.
So Harpo's trying to adopt children,
Right.
who probably had more money than they did.
Yeah.
Chico was actually in a car accident and shattered his kneecap, so there's a lot of times you can see him limping through this movie. The boat scene, Thelma Todd and Groucho Marx actually fell out. They fell out of the boat, and she kept crying for help, and he just went, okay, and swam away, and not realizing she actually couldn't swim. So the crew members had to come and rescue her. And during the boat ride, Groucho does say the line, "Was that you or the duck? Because if it was you, I'm going to finish this ride with the duck." I can't see it.
Oh.
If you look carefully after Miss Bailey falls out of the boat, you can see that Groucho does in fact finish the ride with the duck.
I saw the duck in the boat. Yeah.
So that was the only facts that I found, and the only last thing I've got is about the female actress in this, but I'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to the story.
It's just there's just a huge it's not. I'll get into it later.
Yeah. Save it for later.
Save it for later.
I'm so excited though.
One thing that I know Lee's probably, I think he's dead. He didn't sleep last night, so he's not in the
Oh,
chat.
poor Lee.
Because Lee's famously hates musicals. Like he's never a big music fan.
Yeah,
and this isn't a musical, because it's called in the description it's described as a musical comedy. There's music in it, but it's not all the way through. But when they do sing the songs, Jesus Christ, how fucking catchy.
When you messaged us and you were like, I'm so interested to hear what you think of the music, and I went, okay. Like I didn't know what to expect from that. And then the minute he starts singing I'm Against It, I went, oh, oh, okay, I get what you mean. That song has not left me all week.
I said I went. You said, have I been singing it all week earlier? And I was like, no. I went back and because sorry, blah 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 blah. They each sing a verse of a song through the episode. I read somewhere that was apparently a song that they had on one of their stage shows.
Yeah.
So it was like a throwback to that. But I always knew Harpo played the harp, but I can't really remember seeing Chico play the piano.
Right.
So I was like, I want to know if that was real or if it was like someone else's hands and he's just kind of looking over. And like, not only was he playing that piano, he was playing that piano. Yeah. And there's a moment where he's sitting next to Thelma Todd, That is Thelma Todd. I've not just
Yes.
butchered
Yeah.
that.
No, it's Thelma
I
Todd.
said it and then I was like, oh no, it wasn't.
No,
Anyway,
it's Thelma.
and he looks at her and he smiles, and
Mhm.
the smile is like the most genuine, beautiful
I'm
thing.
so
And
happy.
I was like, that's an artist. That is a man. Like, I can't even describe it, but I was like, I've never seen someone just look so happy, so full of joy, and just it's beaming out of him. And I was like, I want to know if that's him playing the piano. Like, I've got to. That has to be real.
There was
Yeah,
a
I'm getting
That's
emotional.
lovely.
no,
Oh,
it's magic. But there was a interview that Chico did with the BBC. He
Hmm.
came a thing, and they were asking loads of questions. And at the end of the interview, they got him to play the piano because I think, as he said, at this time it was his gimmick and stuff like that. So he was playing it like that, and he just like there was just a random orange on the side. And he
Hmm.
picked up the orange and he was playing the piano with this and he just started rolling the orange along the thing just to like to get the thing. It was like, and he was just so nonchalant and he's like kind of looking at the producer, like the presenter, looking at the camera, and he just like you know when someone just owns the craft and knows that nobody can touch them.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was kind of like as you said there, that's the kind of impression and you get from it. It's just amazing. And this is one of the things that took me straight back because I remember watching that as a kid and being mesmerized with how he played the piano. I was like you watching piano players, you think, oh, it's someone's been like musical. It's like, oh, but this is the first time someone made an instrument like a piano because it's easy like oh guitar, you always look cool. He made
Hmm.
the piano look like a cool instrument, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The
It,
piano
it
is a cool instrument.
no, he really did, and it's funny you talk about like owning his craft because I felt like that when Groucho first comes on, and
Yeah.
it blows my mind to know that there's a lot of insecurities behind that voice,
Yeah.
but that's not what you see on
No.
screen.
Hmm.
So
Like the
their
minute he
presence, their
walks,
presence is.
the minute he walks on screen, he owns it
Mm,
all. You are not looking at anyone else, but even if it is his walk, but you are not looking at anyone else but him, and he's too quick.
yeah.
Like I would hate to be in
Razor
an
sharp,
argument.
isn't it?
I would hate to be in an argument with them because you
Yeah.
aren't getting a word in
Can you
at
imagine
all.
trying to heckle him on
Oh
stage?
no!
Oh,
If you watch his the game show, some people trying the contestants trying to come like have a bit back and forth, and he rips them apart.
Yeah.
He's like, but like, they had loads of off cuts where he just says cut that out because they couldn't use it. But like anyone who tried to riff with him, he was like, no, it's like oh, okay, let's play this game, and it's like oh shit, just shut up now, stop it, please.
yeah. And I think we've learned through time and experience that comedians really are the saddest people.
Mhm.
And Groucho, he had his bounce of sadness. Um, I was watching a documentary today about his depression
Mhm.
side, and but it
Mhm.
was, it came from his son.
Mhm.
Um, so this is like his son's point of view, but he said he was the best dad,
Yeah.
the best dad. He had three kids, um, two two to one woman, one to his third wife, and he absolutely adored his kids, especially his last little girl.
Mhm.
I can't remember what her name is now, but he just absolutely adored his children, but his wives really
Mhm.
sent him to the bottom. And
Yeah.
Groucho liked his women young, but not
Oh, we're not
what's
getting
the
the
word I'm looking
word.
for? No, but not. But oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't. They, they they were legal. Like
They
it
were
wasn't a
over the age
chaplain.
of
It's
consent.
yeah,
So.
yes, that's it. It wasn't a chaplain moment,
No,
by any stretch.
no.
But so for example, he's 65. His third wife is 26.
Right. So he's a
Oh,
Leonardo
sick.
DiCaprio.
Yes, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's
Yes,
fine.
yes, that's a good way of looking at it. Because I
No,
don't want to give the impression
that is a
that
nonce.
Groucho Marx is like a Charlie Chaplin.
No,
And if you know Charlie Chaplin, then
yeah.
you know what
You
I mean.
understand what he's, yeah.
Yeah,
Woody.
absolutely.
If you know,
Woody.
you know.
What's he called? Woody. Woody. Oh,
Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
No,
Yeah.
Woody Allen just goes after his own
Stepdaughters.
adopted children.
It's interesting though you talk about the presence because when you look at Groucho Marx, because there's very few comedians I would say that has the same kind of presence as Groucho Marx. And
Mm.
Phoebe's named them in the chat earlier. Eric Morecambe is probably, and John Cleese, again, I know different type of comedy, different
get
type
it,
of,
though.
but they have the same type of presence, where when they're on the screen, they draw the attention, and even like when they're doing the performance, because like there's lines and stuff where they're kind of trying not to laugh and trying not to break character and stuff like that. And that must have been a nightmare on the set with these, because you can see all these people around just like trying not to break. And I think it's like almost like a challenge for like Groucho or Harpo or even Chico to try and break people's reactions and stuff, because there was
Yeah.
so like especially Chico. Chico is so deadpan with his response. Like the scene, I think I put the video out on TikTok last week. It got like nearly 10,000 views, which was amazing.
It's amazing.
With him and Groucho like at the door, and
Oh my
Groucho's
God, the
knocking on the door,
password.
and he's like, password. It's like it's a fish, and it's good. Is it sturgeon? No. And it's like,
Haddock.
oh, so if you see a swordfish, so you just get, oh, sword. Is it swordfish? And he's like, hey, come in. Then they swap places, and he's get, no, you can't trick me. The password swordfish. He's going, no, I got bored of that one. It's like it's the
And he's like, wait a
comedy.
minute, I'll come out with you.
It's
And they
like
both end out on the other side.
it's
But
like
what
the
does he say when he
stupid comedy.
opens? When he opens the actual thingy, at first he goes, "What's the matter with you?" And he's like, "Oh, what is it? It's so funny," and I can't remember what it is now. Oh, I'm gonna butcher that. Never
We have to watch it
mind.
again.
Watch it. I would say go and watch this movie, but all of the other Marx Brothers movies are available to watch on
Yeah.
YouTube,
Except for
bar
this
this one.
Yeah.
So you really have to go and find it. But please, I implore you, go and find this movie. But because that scene was so funny with the password.
But like
that whole thing in the speakeasy as well. I also already said the bit with the hatchet when he slams the car, but him going around when he rings the phone and he's trying
Yes.
to like play it like a slot machine, and then coins come out of it
And then he
anyway.
wins.
but he's putting his hat and he opens his mouth and you see them all find his mouth, and he starts spitting them out Goonies style, like what
Yeah.
like mouth's doing from the Goonies. And it's like when the guy is basically must have spent his week wages putting in the slot machine, and he walks up to it, takes a button off and puts it in, and he wins as well. And it's just getting like that kind of like look and stupidity. But I was going to try and say, can we describe the plot, because the plot is very vague.
I do have a plot here where and I can quickly go over it. Professor Quincy Adams Wagstaff is a new president of Huxley College, and he's convinced by it's all to do about the football game, by the way. And he's convinced by his son Frank, a student at the college, to recruit a professional football player to help Huxley's losing football team. Iceman, who is Chico, delivers ice and bootleg liquor from the local speakeasy. Oh, this is just explaining the people. Anyways, the climax of the film, where ESPN lists one of the first of its top 11 scenes in football movie history. Oh my God, I did not know that.
Right.
Why is that in my plot notes?
But saying that though, the actual football game is hilarious. Like
oh my
the
God, I
aspects...
didn't even like read. I literally copied and pasted a plot. So I had like an outline, and it actually says the climax of the film, which ESPN listed as the first in its top 11 scenes in football movie history, includes the 4 protagonists winning the football game by successfully performing a version of the hidden ball trick and then scoring the winning touchdown in a horse-drawn
carriage. Because Harpo is a dog catcher, isn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what game that ref was watching.
I can't stop laughing. I've got the giggles.
But when he touches it, he does the ball on the string trick.
He just yanks it back.
It's like frozen. It's like they've all run over there. It fires back to him. And he's like,
isn't it crazy that the three of us are nearly in tears over a movie that came out in 1932?
Yeah.
If it's funny, it's funny.
So surreal.
Because again, it was very ahead of its time, and I think that's a lot of things. I know in another movie where it's about the war, again, it's just basically taking the piss out, like how stupid war is and stuff like that. It was very, and this was before like war movies was a big thing as well. So, it was very much finger on the pulse. And I know we're going to talk about, like say, how the women are portrayed in this movie as well. So, because again, it's a different time. You wouldn't see
Not
the
great.
women portrayed or like say acting in a certain way in
No, but
movies these days. Like when as
no,
Joe
no.
said on she's on the boat and she does the baby voice. Give me the codes to the little baby. I was like, oh no.
Oh, you've got to appreciate the time that you're in, and I think as a female, like I can fully appreciate. Like if you can't appreciate what they're doing with their acting, look at their clothes, look at their
Yeah.
makeup, look at their hair. Like take something from it because it's a very, very different time, and we're not delusional when we know what these women go through. That is such a great setup for my Thelma Todd story.
Come on then.
So the main actress
Oh,
in
is it
this
time?
movie, it's time. Do you know? I hope it's not disappointing because but it as someone who
Sammy,
is,
you've
I
came
don't
back from the dead. You can't do anything that's disappointing now.
yeah, this is something. It's kind of interested me throughout, like my whole, I'm interested in death and then. Thelma Todd's always kind of like been there as a, oh, she's a bit of a mystery. So Thelma Todd, born July 29th, 1906, and died even in December 16th, 1935. She was 29 years old.
Wow.
So on the morning of Monday, December 16th, 1935, Todd's body was discovered inside her chocolate-coloured 1934 Lincoln Pantheon convertible.
Ooh.
Her Lincoln was parked inside the garage at a home of Jill Carmen, wife of Ronald West. I don't know who that is. Todd was wearing a mauve and silver gown, mink wrapped and expensive jewelry. Her death was determined to have been caused by carbon monoxide poisoning. But it's all to do. The mystery is how the fuck did she get in there?
Right.
And how did she manage to lock the garage from the outside?
Ooh.
Yeah, so apparently there's a lot of like speculations. The police revealed that she spent the previous Saturday night at the Troxica. Oh God, I love this place, Troxicardio. I can't even say it.
The Toxicardio.
Trocadero.
Right.
Trocadero, that's it. A popular Hollywood restaurant. Now that's something. At a party hosted by Stanley Lupin and his actress wife Ida. She had a brief but unpleasant exchange there with an ex-husband, Pat DiCaccio.
Right.
However, her friends stated that she was in good spirits and were aware of nothing in her life that suggested a reason for her to commit suicide. LAPD detectives concluded that Todd's death was accidental, the results of either warming up in the car to drive it or using the heater to keep herself warm.
Right.
A coroner's inquest into the death was held on December 18th, 1935, and no marks of violence anywhere upon her within her body, with only a superficial contusion on the lower lip. There was informal accounts of great signs of injury. The jury ruled that her death appeared accidental, but recommended further investigations to be made by the proper authorities. And eventually it was literally passed down as a suicide, even though there was no note, no nothing. And there's so many theories on the whole. It was locked from the outside. The ex-boyfriend is shifty character.
Yeah. And they've been seen to be having a fight on that night.
Yeah, exactly. So there's so much conspiracy and theory when it comes down to her death. Todd's memorial service, which drew a large crowd to view the open casket. So she had an open casket funeral, which they do. I'm going to be doing some articles on some classic Hollywood actors, and the first one who I always gravitate towards is Rudolph Valentino. I need the world to know about Rudolph Valentino, and he had an open casket. It's these kind of people, their funerals is an event.
Right.
And it's, at Rudolph Valentino's funeral, his girlfriend Paula Negri, more like beard, but girlfriend,
allegedly
to keep the allegedly, yes, and yet you have to say that after over 100 years. But yeah, to keep the press interested, because she would throw herself across his open casket. So these things were events. So having an open casket would not be something out of the ordinary for glamorous actresses such as herself. But there's so many videos on Thelma Todd, and the location is still actually there in Hollywood. It's actually the garage where it all happened. Yeah, there's just there's a big massive question mark and a lot of theories about it.
And
So yes,
that goes to the side quest where Sammy starts up another podcast, Deaths in Hollywood, coming soon.
honestly, this is why I'm so glad you've opened the article side up, because it's like now I have somewhere to pour my shit out and tell it to the masses. Because this kind of stuff really interests us. Like, Thelma was beautiful, like really stunningly beautiful. It's just the idea that she got into her car with, and I know a few actresses who have done the glamorous suicide where they've, decked themselves all out. There was one famous story that actually is referenced in Frasier, where an actress decked herself all out, had this like glamorous setup in her bedroom, roses everywhere. The press were going to find her in the most gorgeous, setting, and the sleeping tablets that she took to do the job upset her stomach with the meal that she had the night before, and she ends up being sick in the toilet, and that's how she dies, and that's how the press find her. It's actually referenced in an episode of Frasier.
I thought you were going to say that something else happened to her and ruined
the scene.
No. Ruined the lovely scene.
And there's the famous photograph of the woman who is jumped to her death from a building onto her car, and she's clutching her pearls, and she's all decked out. So it's not under the realms of possibility that they would do something like this, but it's just everything else that goes along with it.
It's a spicy mystery.
It is.
Old Hollywood and the weird times and crazy fools. But yes, but yeah, she was absolutely beautiful as. What was her name? She was
Connie Bailey. Connie Bailey, the college widow.
That was it, the college widow. I don't know why she was called the college widow.
I didn't. She seemed to have a guy in her life as well. Well, sorry, she had Zeppo obviously on the hook, but that was about the football.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize the other guy.
The kind of mobster, the guy that was running the racket from the other team.
Yeah, I was like, so is she actually seeing him? So like, who's the widow? Who's the husband who died?
I don't know.
And what's a college widow? Is it
ruined the realism for me.
I thought there was a college mother, like like someone who takes care of, like, I don't know.
But there's a college mother. I'm going back to college now.
Not that kind of mother.
Yeah,
I've watched House Bunny. There's a college mother.
But I think, as you said, when you go back to like the old classic, like damsels or beautiful stars, like she was absolutely stunning. Like, and the scenes she was in as well, she held her own with the likes of Groucho, like that when they would like almost like trying to seduce her and stuff like that. But as you said, Joe, that scene when they're on the boat, it's hilarious and wrong at the same time.
When she started talking like a baby, I was like, please don't. Like, it's so I was like cringing internally, and then Groucho starts ripping her for it, and I was like, thank you.
And again,
sorry,
that was quite a modern thing. Like now it's like a woman starts acting like that. Groucho, what's his like? Is this a frat boy thing?
Yeah.
It's the thing we're just talking about. I'm sorry, I know we're jumping all over the place, but I've just read, and I had to write it down. The Valentine's Day note. So roses are red, so violets are blue, so sugar is sweet, so are you. So funny. But Chico's delivery is much better than mine.
Yeah. See, that I was gonna say when you read the taglines out.
Yeah.
And this is always the case. The problem I have with older movies or movies that are like this old, dialogue really changes over time, right? Like language 100 years ago is not the same as it was now, and I struggle so much to understand people when they're talking. Obviously, in their current dialogue. These movies don't have that problem. I don't have that with this. The way they talk to each other, the way that they deliver the jokes is just so succinct and so sharp. Obviously, the way they're written is brilliant, but the delivery as well is just that good that I don't know if it's like a mental block thing or if I'm just like slow.
No, I get it.
No,
I'm
no,
like,
I don't think so. That you're slow at all.
No, because
But
like,
it's
there's
like-
certain films of the time when you watch them, the language and the like we loved Some Like It's Hot, but some of the language and some of the like conversations they had, it was very much of the time. Like the conversations they have in this, I think it's on such a personal level, and as you said, so cleverly written. It's like siblings having these conversations and arguing with each other, but doing it like with banter and flow that you kind of like forget this is 1930s. You think you could be having these type of conversations. Probably a lot more bad language, but you could be taking the piss in the same type of way. And even like say the way Harpo communicates with the horns, like I've never seen anyone communicate with a fucking horn, like, and you understand exactly where he's coming from and his points, and it's just beautifully done and timing. And again, I know we talked about it before, like how they've practiced and stuff. It's not a natural thing. It's they have practiced and worked on that timing where it feels effortless. And this is a movie that felt effortless to watch, where it's not like anything
It's
kind
not
of
hard
like
work.
and you don't have to like take you back and think, oh, I'm
Nah.
gonna have to change my mindset to be the thing. You can just sit there and just go,
No.
I get that joke, that's funny. And if you don't even get a joke, you think, oh, everyone, it's like the
doesn't matter. There's going to be another one in like 10 seconds time.
Exactly. You don't have to wait around for it. I was just reading there that we were talking about the editing side of it, especially in the room where it's like proper choppy. There was a lot taken out, and especially in that scene, it's a lot of extended stuff in. So maybe when they've been putting it back together, it's not kind of gone the way that it should have. But yeah, there's several minutes that have been taken out due to censorship and damage.
Right.
You've got to remember this film is really old and is kind of like being passed around, so it's not like today's settings where it's literally digitally there. It's not good. There's going to be no damage to shit. But yeah, that scene alone in the apartment was the one where they ended up cutting stuff out of to tighten it up a bit.
But it's really interesting that you said about tightening up and like things getting cut out, because me and Joe had a conversation straight away when we were talking the other night how the runtime of this movie. Now I'm not going to jump on Joe's point because Joe made this point.
1 hour 2 minutes. Isn't it? This is last night when I thought, hey, let's join Discord, and we had a nice little watch party. We set it up, and I thought I'm gonna have a little glass of whiskey and watch the wrestling with the guys, and that went to shit.
Quite literally.
I am unwell today, and I'm partially blaming you, but it is mostly my fault.
Brought the whiskey.
I know.
We just sent the invite.
So yeah, the runtime of the movie is 1 hour 2 minutes, and I think I said last night that I watched the Chernobyl miniseries again recently. Each episode, it's fantastic, isn't it? Each episode of that is longer than this movie.
Yeah.
And there are TV shows now that come out for streaming services, so they don't have like ad breaks in the middle, or they shouldn't. Amazon. And those episodes, I'm watching The Boys. Those episodes are longer than this movie, and the fact that we now have TV shows, episodic stuff that is longer than the runtime of a movie that came out in the 30s is wild.
It's crazy.
But that's why I think I like this movie and the runtime and the length, because it doesn't overstate its welcome.
Absolutely not. Yeah. Everything's tight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everything's
it gets to the point. I know what college widow means.
All right. Oh.
A term that occurs often in horse feathers but may not be familiar to modern viewers is college widow. The somewhat derogatory term referred to a young woman who remains near a college year after year to associate with the male students. It's used to describe Connie Bailey. Such women were considered easy.
Right.
Miss Bailey is shown to be involved with such
Wait there for a second. Would I be considered the college widow now then?
You're hanging around near the school, so you can
yeah,
the young boys.
you may not want to like in a modern setting. You may not want to put that out there. She was involved with the brothers. That's what a college widow is.
All right, so an easy, good time.
I'm just gonna,
Yeah.
I'm going to interject here. Sorry, Chris has just said on the topic of Chernobyl that he loved the scene with the coal minister because he loves coal. I'm sure that's a joke, but I'm going to put this on the record. The minister of coal at that time in the Soviet Union was actually a decent guy, and the way they portrayed him in the show was for a laugh, but he was more like the head miner than he was that dickhead in the suit.
Right.
There's Joe's.
There's
made.
Joe sticking up for the miners again, true northern style.
Oh my God, for the man.
Coal miner. When my friends call us middle class, I'm like, my dad was a coal miner. What are you talking about?
Fuck you. I'm fucking proud of my class status.
Absolutely.
Hey there, you're proud of your class status. Go back to episode 1 and tell us what the accent was about then.
It was my work voice, and you didn't want to talk. We both were exactly the same.
I think yours was a lot posher than mine.
I often have my accent. I don't particularly have a Macam accent. I don't have a Geordie accent. It's more from Washington, so it's kind of like someone is pretending to be posh.
I'll tell you what though, the day we get Phoebe, like, because Phoebe's been doing a lot for Nerdy Up North, bless us. The day we get Phoebe on the podcast, that's when we're going to find out the true northern in us. That's the thing.
I work with a southerner every week. It's and she is a proper Cockney geezer. So yeah,
she used words like Waitrose. I was like, "What's a Waitrose?"
Oh, she's a posh southerner. I've just been reading through some notes here, and I find this so hilarious that this is deemed as like a very respectable football movie.
Right. It's got football in. It's got football in.
No, but it's like it's kind of like, I know, but it's like it's up there with like AFI's 100 football movie. Like, do you know what I mean? Like it's in the category. It's nominated for a sports film award.
I mean, I can understand it from a like college football in America is huge.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
a real institution.
Absolutely,
and something we don't do in England, obviously. But they win by driving a horse and cart across the field and just offloading balls. It's
But who knows the rules to American football? Don't they just make it up as they go? Like,
they make it up as
this
they go
is
along,
kind of like rugby, but we'll just blow the whistle a lot.
Why not?
And have Justin Bieber like appear at halftime or something like that.
Who was the lady who did a halftime show and then Justin Timberlake ripped her boob out?
Oh, Janet Jackson.
Janet Jackson. No, let's not talk about that fucking idiot.
I'd like to talk about that.
No, I hate that man so much.
I'll be back a different week for that.
When we're getting close to the end of the year, when I'm trying to get us physically taken off the air, that's going to get.
I would like this to continue. I know that this is like your last year, but you know, I would like YouTube to not go anywhere, please.
I was like, I'm going to burn this place to the fucking ground when I leave.
It's okay. I'm grooming Chris to take over. It's fine.
It's mine. You don't need to groom anyone.
With that.
And especially not Chris.
Paul's grooming Chris because he looks the youngest.
I don't know what Chris has just typed. It said message restricted. Chris, what just typed?
Chris, even I couldn't get that off.
Oh man.
Right.
Oh hey.
That has
escalated. Why would you say that to Paul out of the movie?
Let me bring it back on track. Okay. There was one gag in this movie that made me laugh so hard I actually needed to go and grab my inhaler.
It's okay.
Oh my god, okay.
Would you? I was going to lead up to that, but I'll ask you: what was your favorite gag in the movie? Do we have the same one?
It depends. Like the bits that actually made us cry. It's just like the similar things we've talked about, like Harpo just cutting the deck, like as stupid and as simple as that.
Yeah.
That kind of broke us a little bit. But like how they all try to like perv on the college widow and like taking turns and stuff like that.
That scene where they're coming in and out the room is just is so classic. Physical comedy of just like, why is there 2 rooms to this apartment? Why is there 2 doorways to this apartment? Because we needed people to come in and out at the same time.
Oh my god! The shoes.
Oh, when he comes in and takes
Groucho's-
his shoes off.
But he's still got shoes on.
Tell you what, though.
Explain that to us. He
No.
was taking his shoes off, but still had shoes on, carrying his shoes, coming in and doing the same thing over and over again. How many pairs of shoes was he wearing?
All of the shoes. It's not part of this movie, but if you do search Groucho Marx mirror scene on YouTube,
I've heard about this.
it is one of the greatest comedy things in movie cinema. It is absolutely hilarious. It is done so well. Like, it's been parodied and copied so much. It is. I'll try and see if YouTube or anything lets us put a clip of it up, because it is just, honestly, it is one of the funniest scenes in cinema history, and there's no sound. It is deadly silent, and yeah, sorry, but yeah, but probably my favorite. But my favorite gag for this movie was probably the football game, when he ties the elastic band to the ball.
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous
So
and
good.
stupid, and how it works is just, yeah, I love it.
The science lesson.
The science, oh, well, they're all, yeah, that's good, like, verbal comment,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah.
actual dialogue. So this is, I'm going to start off with, there's a scene in A Night at the Opera where they are signing an opera singer, and they're reading the contract out. And Chico says something like, hold on, this contract is invalid. There ain't no sanity clause. And when he does it in like the Italian accent, it's a good double play. But this movie also has a contract signing joke scene. I'm like, what was their deal with contract signings?
Why not?
But it's when he puts it down and he's like, there's nothing on this paper. And he's like, don't worry, I'll fill it in afterwards. And he's like, all right then. It's the fucking seal that they dump on the table afterwards. He's like, this contract's not valid. It doesn't have a seal. And he's like, well, we got to get a seal. And then they just throw a seal onto the table. And you can tell it's a live seal. And it starts moving around. And you can see the panic on their faces where they're like, holy shit, we've... And like the camera moves away. And I was laughing so hard. I couldn't breathe. And I was just like wheezing. I have to get up and go and get me an inhaler.
But that, again, when someone does a joke that's, it's so in your face and so out there, and, like, but it's a joke that's like, it is the ultimate dad joke. That's probably the best way I can describe
And this
that.
is probably why I love this side. I love a dad joke. Like, a dad joke to me is belly laugh funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is probably why I love this fall, because it's so refreshing to listen to comedy where it's not relying on foul language or derogatory terms.
No.
Like, it's kind of clean.
It's
and
timing.
It's really
it's timed
and it's lovely to hear that style of comedy, because that's what that's what makes it, that's funny.
It's surrealist, and
Yeah.
it's witty, and it's sharp, and sometimes it's just stupid and it's funny. And I think that they layer so much stuff into their work. And it all just works together, because they each bring something funny with it. I mean, like, Harpo's not delivering like hugely funny wordplay because he's not saying a thing, but he's commanding the room anyway because he's just so funny to watch.
Yeah.
And just even when he moves his eyebrows at times, just by way he wiggles his eyebrows, is funny.
You just never know what he's going to do next year.
That's
whipping that hatchet out or whipping a seal out.
It's just like how unpredictable he is. Oh my god, the brick through the window. No, the ice. That was
Nice.
the ice.
Oh, the ice. Like, he's in the room and he just throws it straight outside.
And then he keeps doing it over and over again.
But
and
that's Harpo's gags all the way through.
When does it stop being funny?
No.
Oh, hang on, it doesn't.
No. There's a famous scene where they're all in this office and they're like talking about stuff and reading stuff, and Harpo's just like putting his leg in someone's hand, and he's doing it over and over till all of them kind of join in, and you're thinking this is just ridiculous, but it just gets funnier and funnier because they're all getting in the act, and the person who's keep getting the legs put in his hand is getting more and more irate. It's that type of comedy. It's just like stupid slapstick, but
I love the bit when they go to kidnap the real football players, and end up themselves getting kidnapped, and they're like, right, okay, we like take your clothes off. I think to say, you wouldn't go outside in the street with no clothes on. I think is their point. But Harpo just like he pulls his shirt and his whole outfit comes off and he's just in his pants. And I was just like that killed us because he's just like, all right, and just like, oh, I've just hit myself in the eye. Your little tassel just clock right in the eye there. Yeah, he just whips off his whole all of his clothes at once. And I was like, was he doing that entire scene in like a Velcro suit? Like,
oh my god!
oh.
I've just been looking there just while we've been chatting to see if there's like a Marx Brothers memorial place. And clearly my dyslexia has taken over because I found a Marx Memorial Library.
All right.
Not the Marx we're looking for.
I was gonna, is it a bit more Soviet?
To be fair, though, I think Chris, when I first mentioned that I was going to do the Marx Brothers, he was like, "What? Isn't that a bit political?" I was like, "Oh, it's not that Marx. Don't worry."
Not that Marx. Although I have just mentioned Chernobyl in the USSR,
Yeah.
so maybe there is. Oh.
And say, like as I said, Harpo was a US spy against the Russians.
Oh wow! Okay, so I've gone on to the Marx Brothers locations. There's a place in Germany.
I was going to say that hopefully they don't move around much now, do they?
No, they're definitely in one place. I mean, obviously, you can go to Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Los Angeles, California, and go and visit them there. But yeah, there's places in Germany, New York, Los Angeles, but not something that like would say this is for them kind of thing, which is quite sad because like there's a lot of people who have like placards in place in especially in Hollywood, so it's quite sad that what they're saying. Good find, comrade
Sammy.
Good find, comrade Sammy.
Sammy's a red.
I went on a tangent in my mind there while you were talking about graves because I was like, I think that one of them had a really funny gravestone and it wasn't a Mark. I mean, they might, but I think it was Spike Milligan.
Right, yeah.
His gravestone said, "I told you I was ill."
Yeah, no, I think yes, you're right. Spike Milligan's got a stupid one.
There's the famous actress who's got one who says, "Okay, go away, I'm sleeping." Or Jack Lemmon's, where it just says Jack Lemmon starring in. I love that one. That's one of my favorites.
Oh, there's one that always like hits me in the heartstrings, and it was Mel Blanc who did Bugs Bunny, did Looney Tunes. Yeah, that's all, folks. I was like,
that's all, folks.
Oh.
I watch. Surprisingly, I watch a YouTube channel called Hollywood Graveyards, and one of the first graves he ever went to start this whole YouTube journey was Mel Blanc's, and it's the only one he got to see that day because the park was closing down and he had to leave. So he spent like a lot of time with him, and Walt Disney's is very underwhelming for a Disney.
To be fair though, his head's probably not there, isn't it? Isn't it supposed to be cryogenically frozen or something like that?
The grave's empty. He's in the freezer at Disneyland.
It's like I've got to wait for the Nazis to come back.
But
yeah, I was like, I imagined his gravestone. The first edition said something far different.
It's just so underwhelming for like what you expect of the person. He has his own garden because it's a family plot. And it literally is just a black. Can anyone see my Game of Thrones sign behind us?
No.
I have like a placard thing that goes down where it's like all listing all places of Game of Thrones. It's literally like that. It's so basic. Like like for Disney, you would think like, oh, grandeur, Mickey Mouse, and no, nothing. Mel Blanc's is in such a good prime location. What is wrong with me?
I love how we stopped talking about the Marx Brothers. We're just talking about cool graves now.
It's fine. The thing is, though, when we're
talking about the Cool Graves podcast,
well, it's going to happen. There's that many spin-offs now, but yeah. But I think again, like, because I know we've talked about the Marx Brothers, talked about the movie. Like, I don't think you've sorry, Joe's told us his favorite card. Sammy, you've not told us yours, have you?
There's so many, but I do think it's the swordfish one. But it's the opening line, and I can't remember what he says to him. It's something along the lines of "What's the matter with you?" And he's like, "Nothing. What's the matter with you?" And it's like it's
just the way they say it.
It's the way they go back and forth. I think that's absolutely hilarious. But sorry, there's like little things like running through my head, and now I can't get the ice.
ice out of it.
sequence. I
Ice
can't
is
get the ice
brilliant.
sequence out my head, or the
it's-
shoes.
The first time he comes in, he says, "Where do you want?" Like, he doesn't say, "Where do you want this?" She like, he goes to hand. She's like, "I don't want this." So he just throws it out the
At the
window.
window and keeps bringing it back.
Why would
And
I
then-
want this ice?
It's like the second and third time he doesn't even offer it to her. He just walks straight to the window.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I love that. Like, he's not even bothered. I was like, why is he back with the ice? He's just like, he walks across the couch, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ice would have been
Yes.
expensive for them in their days as well.
It was a big block too. It wasn't
yeah.
a small thing either.
That's what she said.
I actually looked up because obviously they go to a speakeasy, and they had speakeasy in America during Prohibition. This movie actually came out during Prohibition, and I didn't appreciate that it was that time period. And I was like, oh, when did Prohibition end? The next year.
Yeah. Some Like It Hot is also it's a Prohibition era, but not a Prohibition time.
Right.
That makes sense. So
Right.
it's like that's when the opening scene in Some Like It Hot is where they and more coffee. They're clearly fucking all drinking. But yeah, it's not a Prohibition time because it was made in the 50s.
So, just like the point I was trying to eloquently say, but I've kind of failed a little bit. And again, I'm trying to say this without sounding all pretentious and up my own arse in a way, because we, like, our generation, like people who do like podcasts or talk about movies and stuff, kind of have a kind of a responsibility in a way, in my mind, to kind of keep the legacy and like to showcase the Marx Brothers, because as Joe said, the people he would talk to, like younger generations or younger people, say, "Have you heard of the Marx Brothers?" They'll say no, because there's going to be a time where there'll be a generation that won't even know about the Marx Brothers,
sad.
and that's kind of like a scary element to me, because like all cinema is brilliant, especially like as you said, old Hollywood are the classics, and this would be a lost art form if kind of we don't like kind of keep reminding. So again, I'm glad we can showcase things like this.
It would be very sad for people to forget these movies. I think
100%.
And yeah, sorry, I said this before the podcast, so I'll reiterate it for all the lovely listeners. So the guy I work next to, who I sit next to at work, he's in his 20s. His hair's still wet from the fucking womb. And I said I was on the podcast this week, and I was talking about the Marx Brothers. And he didn't know what the Marx Brothers were, so I showed him the clip, and it's from Animal Crackers. It's the ending of Animal Crackers, and it's a wonderful scene. Go watch it. It's on YouTube. But there's a policeman who's talking to Harpo, and Harpo's been robbing the place blind the whole movie. And the policeman's like, you fell in with the wrong crowd. You need to get yourself home. Your mother's waiting for you. She misses you. She wants to know that you're safe. And he's like, the whole time the policeman's going on this speech, he's shaking Harpo's hand, and there's silverware falling out of his coat. And it just keeps coming. It just does not stop. There's just silverware just clanging, and the policeman's making the speech, and you can't hear him because it's just drowned out by metal hitting the floor. And then Groucho says there's something like, "I'm still waiting on that pot of coffee," and then a coffee pot falls out of his coat, and I'm like, it's so, like, I was creased the first time watching that. So I showed this kid that scene, and I was like, he's like, okay, I get it, yeah, it's funny. I was like,
did he appreciate it?
He did. I don't think he's going to go away and watch it, but you know, I tried. And
oh, you did. And this is why I love doing these kind of classic movies, because I don't want. I want to leave a little mark for us to say, like, we appreciate this.
And again, it's almost like a responsibility as well, because like as me and Joe said, like our dads, like even my dad, when the Marx Brothers came out, would have been like this. There would have been something that was passed on from his father and stuff like that. So it's almost like a generation thing. Like for us to, like, I know I don't have kids, but like say if I've got a niece or a nephew and stuff, I like want to try and get them to experience these type of movies. And I think it's always good to get them experience them when they're young as well, so they don't get to that kind of like teenage or like years and go, oh, I'm not going to watch a black and white movie just thing. And it's kind of take away that kind of stigma when it comes to these type of movies as well. It's like, it's old, so it must be shit. It's like, no, it's old, and it's far from being shit.
Far from being shit.
Don't limit yourself by not watching a movie because it's got no color. Don't limit yourself by watching a movie because you have to read subtitles. It's so silly to just go like, Nah, not for me. I like movies with cool action sequences. Like, no, come on, this is such good cinema, and it's lasted because it's good. Like, if it was
Yeah.
shit, it wouldn't have left the 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
Yeah.
So this
So-
was out in
Reason.
1932. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
in 7 years, it's going to be 100 years old.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing, and especially the copy that I watched, the first copy that I watched, it wasn't grainy,
No.
but it was shaky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So very, very shaky movie about. But the second one that I found was so clear. Like it looked like it was just done yesterday. Like it was crisp. It was detailed. There's no reason. I don't mind the fact that they clean these movies up.
Just
And
don't
we're
put
getting to
colour
see
in
them.
because they've done where they put colour in, and I don't like that.
I don't know. You don't need to put colour in. But just, I don't mind the fact that they've been cleaned up and made a bit more crisper, so we can kind of appreciate them from how they were when they were originally seen, or how they intended for you to see it. Yeah. But I just want to go back to Harpo just for a quick second because it's something I've
Please.
remembered. So Harpo
And?
married. He married later on in life.
Mm-hmm.
He was quite older when he married, and he married for love. He married, not like his brothers who all married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced. He married for love, and because he was a little bit older, he decided that he wanted his family to grow right now,
Right.
this second. So he adopted 4 children.
Oh.
Did not
And
buy them.
Yeah.
He didn't offer him. No, he went through the right process for this, but the reason he wanted 4 children for is so he could have a kid in every window of the house to wave him goodbye when he was going to work.
Oh.
Isn't he the sweetest person? This is how much this man is loved that President Franklin Roosevelt sent him a personal telegram on his wedding day to congratulate him.
Oh.
That's how much this man was loved. But I just found that so sweet.
Robin Williams there.
Yeah.
Like at the museum. Just Robin Williams sending him a telegram. I was like, oh, almost just as important.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think a lot of people, as you said, won't have heard of the Marx Brothers, but they certainly will have been touched by the legacy that was left by the Marx Brothers. These were pioneers in slapstick, in quick jokes, quips, musical comedy as well, like in integrating like if you watch films with Jason Segel now, he sings with a lot of his movies and integrates comedy into it as well. That's like that kind of element where these multi-talented people, I think, we wouldn't have the great disguise that is the mustache and the cigar and the glasses if it wasn't for Groucho Marx kind of inventing it. And they broke down barriers, they broke down stereotypes. Again, when you go back and you look at the history of the Marx Brothers, they were born in poverty, as a lot of people were in them days. So they were either going to go off and do something else, but the mother went, no, you're going to go off and do show business. So they were a singing act. Again, before they become a vaudevillian, this is the house. When the reason again to become a comedy act is because they were just normally singing and doing the musical stuff. There was some kind of event where a horse and carriage went riot outside of the theatre.
Oh, so there was a mule on the loose.
So all the people in the theatre went out to see what was coming in and came back in, and Groucho went off it, but they thought it was part of the act and he was just joking, because as you said, it was the first time he showed his quick wit and he was just taking the piss. He was calling them all cockroaches and stuff like that, and they ate it up. And they decided then, we're going to be funny. And Harpo, for some reason, decided to jump underneath a rug and start scurrying around. And that was where the vaudevillian comedy act was born. So again, there's a lot of things that's happened, or time, and everyone says things happen for a reason, but these guys, the effort they put in, the craft they learned, the balls to do it as well. That's thing. They weren't scared to take a risk. And
no, absolutely not. And what's lovely is that they did bring that vaudevillian presence into what would have been deemed then a modern era, not so much now.
I spent a little bit of time looking at the history. You've covered off most of it, but I think there's two things I want to mention. One of them's about the persecution, which is that in the 30s there was still a lot of anti-Semitism in America.
Yeah.
And when you look back at like segregation and not apartheid, but the way that we know people of color were treated in America, you kind of gloss over the Jewish aspect, but this is a Jewish family. And one of the stories I loved, I'm glad you mentioned Groucho's daughter earlier, but it's about her. Groucho went to a country club, to use their pool, and they were like, "Sorry, sir, you can't swim in our swimming pool. There are no Jews allowed in the pool."
Right.
And he replied, "Well, my daughter's half Jewish. Could she go in up to the waist?"
Oh,
I love that. Like, I love
Yeah.
him cracking a joke in the face of Frank, just ridiculous segregation. Like, what on earth? But I like that he gave them shit. He didn't insult them, but he was like, "Well, I can crack a joke at least."
Yeah.
The other one was about Harpo not really sticking in at school, and it was from his biography, where he said he had a very hard cut leaving school. Like, he knew when it was doing it. He knew when to leave school, and there were two reasons. One of them was a mean Irish kid who threw me out of a window. And the second reason was the bigger lad who helped him.
And that was enough. That's
Yeah,
like,
he was
I'm
like,
done.
I'm done with school.
I'm out. Do you know what? This is how interesting these guys are. I'm just finding new stuff to go along with it. Bloody Harpo's wife was a woman called Susan Alva Fleming. She was a Ziegfeld girl. Holy shit, she's fucking beautiful. And she met him. She actually died in 2002. She was 94 years old. She outlived him by 40 years, and she never married anyone else. He just, he was enough. That just, it's just, honestly, this rabbit hole doesn't stop with these. It really doesn't.
It's just such a legacy they left behind. That was the thing.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about legacies before, like when we talked about like the Christopher Reeve episode as well. And I think, Sammy, you made the good point before, because you were talking about Groucho's children. I think all the children that came from this family, like normally, like if you look at interviews or have stories, they'll tell like parents like being in show business, they were neglected. Not one of them have anything negative. I think Chico's daughter, like, she was talking about him and in such a loving way. And there was a story, and again, it broke my heart a little bit. But it's so funny. It's so what they would do. They were performing one night on stage, and she'd seen every performance. She would go there 4 times a day, because they were performing like 4 times a day at matinees and stuff. And one time she went, "Oh, I'm not going to miss it," and went for food. She came back in and went, "Oh, did you get it?" And they're like, "What do you mean? Like, did a joke for you? Did you get it?" And like, she was like, totally thing. Chico and Harpo had swapped roles, stopped the outfits, and said the only person that would actually recognize or catch him out was the daughter, and she wasn't there to experience. And she said that was the time that broke her heart, because she didn't experience the one time that they wanted to play a joke on her.
Oh no, these men weren't angels.
No.
They had their issues, but like everyone else. But they weren't bad people.
It could have been a lot worse, especially at the time. The fame,
they could,
the money,
and the friends that they had. These were they had friends with William Randolph Hearst. Now, he is a name of Hollywood. He basically owned fucking Hollywood. And he, it could have gone down like a very different path for them. And how they kind of like clubbed together for Chico's sake when it comes down to his gambling addictions. And like, they're not perfect, but they could it could have been a hell of a lot worse, especially for Hollywood in the 1930s. It was new, it was fresh, there was money, there was a lot of fucking money. A lot of things could have gone down.
Yeah, and these are one of the people that as well that they lost the money during the crash. They lost everything.
Groucho lost everything. I was watching. That was part of the documentary that I watched when the Great Depression happened. He literally went from having everything to 5 minutes later,
to nothing.
Nothing.
And again, I'll just earn it back.
Mm.
That was his mentality. But and the interview I saw today, which was probably one telling, and again, this is me showing my age. I think it's Bob Hope. Bob Hope's right, isn't it? That's a name, isn't it? Bob.
He was a
That is a
person.
name.
Yes.
Bob Hope was
Real
a person.
Bob Hope was like a famous American performer. I'm
He
sure
did
it is.
no, Bob Hope is the guy who you did a lot of specials in the army and
Yeah, like
Yeah.
USO
like
tours.
Yeah,
that's it. That's the one. Yeah,
yeah,
that was Bob Hope's thing.
He was always renowned in America for being the ultimate kind of guy, and he actually came out and said the most talented performer, the most talented person he'd ever worked with or been around was Groucho Marx. And for someone on the state of Bob Hope to say that, I think that speaks volumes of the talents of these men.
Oh, 100%. Just to bring it a bit more full circle from our first classic episode, Jack Lemmon presented Groucho Marx with an honorary Academy Award
Oh.
to a standing ovation.
Mhm.
The award was also for Harpo, Chico, and Zeppo, but some had passed away, some couldn't be there, and it was Groucho who accepted it, but it was Jack Lemmon who presented it.
Oh, lovely.
I love Jack Lemmon. I love that man so much.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, I'm going to tack on to that about the family aspect of it.
Yeah.
What I love and have loved about during learning about all this is you can tell when a family really do love each other. And when they work together, it's easy. They might have fucking hated each other at times, I'm sure. But the fact that it was their parents and it was their mum who pushed them into it for whatever reason, whether it was to keep them off the streets or because they weren't sticking in school, but the support that she got from them, and it was so clear that, like, they said that after Manny passed away, that she just loved every single one of those boys. And I think it shows, and it really speaks volumes about how important it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting emotional again.
No, it's good. And
like,
this is why we do this. This is what we kind of love about it as well.
So Mini Marx was, I don't know how to pronounce this, Miene. Miming?
Manny. Maybe a
Miming?
southern thing, I don't know.
Miming? No, she's German.
I know.
Schoenberg. Yeah, Schoenberg. Hence the reason she called her son Adolf. Well before that famous Schmishmaker. But yeah,
he wasn't German, he was Austrian anyway, so it's fine.
that's true. I love Groucho's real name though. It's
Julius.
Julius. I really like that name. There was I don't feel like I said Zeppo's name right, did I? Herbert.
Yeah, he said it. Herbert.
Did
Was it Herbert Manfred?
Manfred, sorry. It threw us there when I saw it. I was like, I don't feel like I said that right. Okay. Cool.
I think we should start naming like the nerdy up north people, like changing Chris's name to like Piper or something like that. Lee to Trampy. I don't know.
We gotta give Chris a nickname like Lofty or something.
Lofty.
Something that implies he's very tall.
Lofty.
Lofty, me. That sounds like an Only Fools and Horses sketch now.
That feels like, yeah, I feel like wasn't that EastEnders character called Lofty?
Don't know.
I'm talking like early EastEnders. Just showed my age there.
I did hear rumours that it was supposed to be getting finishing this year.
February. But I think it's a pile of shit.
Yeah, February finishes every year.
TikTok, no, EastEnders.
Well done, Joe.
28 or 29 this year, but that's fine. But yeah, probably the last words I could say about this is this is a proper wholesome, enjoyable like experience to watch these movies. And again, I think if you've got a little like that's kind of sound weird. If you've got a kid, like if you've got a son, a daughter, like a small age, these are the type of movies you can sit down and enjoy with them and watch them laugh, because again, it's the stupid comedy. It's like throwing the ice out the window, the playing the horns, having like all the money come out. That's the humor that kind of will grow a bond and grow an affinity to these type of movies. Again, it might not be for everyone, but certainly give it a try. Give these movies a try.
don't rob yourself of this experience because you think I don't like black and white movies.
Honestly, don't. There's a reason why they stand the test of time, is because of how good they are. I was absolutely right. There was a character in EastEnders called Lofty Holloway, and it was in 1985. Fuck me.
Yeah.
What is wrong with me?
I wasn't referencing that character just for the record.
What is wrong with me that I knew that?
Chris is an extra in EastEnders. That's what we found.
You got encyclopedic knowledge of EastEnders. I didn't know that was on your CV.
Oh, it is now. That's the stuff that Sammy's got in his CV now. Jesus. But yeah. So what's happening this week, guys? Anything fun?
Not for me. Sorry. I last week could not record an absolute goddamn thing. So unfortunately, there is no new monsters tomorrow.
No.
We will be returning the following week. But I think, oh, that's right. Marvel, Countdown to Doomsday is going to be a week behind.
Right.
Because again, I had to cancel all my plans this week because I've been very poorly. So I think that's going to be a case of just to make sure that we're still right. It's going to be Saturday would be Iron Man 3.
I might release it early because
that's fine. It's totally fine whenever.
Because this week we were a bit low with content because Monsters is dead.
Yeah.
Grumps has taken a week off as well.
Grumps has taken a week off, so there's nothing Monday or Tuesday.
No, whenever, just as long as we have it out this week, because we're going to have to do the following one the week after to make sure we keep on tracking. We're not, and I haven't messed up Jake's spreadsheet.
No, it's fine. It's just because I'm conscious that the Women of Nerd Culture's got an episode out this Saturday as well.
Yeah.
It can go out whenever. I'm just saying that's like, we would have to do it this week in order to make sure we are in line.
We've got no videos, then all the videos come on the same day.
I don't want to take over anything from Women of Nerd Culture. So that's on Saturday, and then way back on Sunday. What are we doing?
I do have it written
down in my notebook right there.
We're doing Power Rangers, the movie.
Oh my god, Anne's told me some interesting facts about that.
Becca's thrilled about that.
Yes, Becca's coming on. She's all excited. I'm excited to have Becca on, making she's been on like videos before, but this is a proper debut.
This is a proper episode. Like, we've not done a proper episode with Bex before. Oh, I'm excited. Not Bex, Becca. I'm excited. Let's not confuse her with Lee's Bex.
So the week after, the boys are growing out. Tasha's in for the Tombstone episode. So we'll see if Chris can manage it. We'll get some boot polish out for him.
I saw him last night on the wrestling watch along we did. I was like, "Has he got a Tasha hat?" I enlarged the picture, and I was like, "Yeah, there's one there."
Starting to come through.
And then we end the month with
Empire.
I'll be there for this one.
Yeah. We've got
I won't again.
Yeah, we've got Kelly coming on. Kelly coming on. The talk about Empire Strikes.
Me a little bit. Like, okay.
She is a huge, like I say, a Star Wars fan, so that's going to be interesting.
I think the fact that our kids is kind of like forced her to be.
But yes.
Interesting. Yeah. So we've got an interesting month ahead.
I know me and Chris are going to do a video because we've both watched that Creature Combat. I think, is it the one with the DC monsters?
Oh yeah, we're watching that.
Yeah, so I think we're going to do a review of that because there's a Nazi killing robot in it. So Chris was very excited. I can't remember what it's called now. Creature Combat or Creature something. But yeah,
I can't remember, but Dan messaged us during the week to see how I was doing. Was like, if you're bored for something to watch, watch this. And I was like, I can't actually pick my head off a pillow right now. Do you know, I had the whole week to just sit and chill out and catch up with stuff, and I just physically didn't even have the energy to do that.
So what's the next monster? It's a
Late Night with the Devil.
Late Night with the Devil, that's the one, yes.
Late Night with the Devil. I got some interesting shit to go through on that.
Cool.
Yeah, I learned a lot about the guy who's the skeptic.
Yes.
Who he's based off. Fuck, that's interesting. But you'll have to wait for that because it's not recorded, and I don't know how that episode's going to turn out, but it will turn out not this week but next.
Joe, what have you been working on? Because you're working on something that's
I have actually.
that's actually comedy gold.
This is the first time I've come here with actual shit to plug.
Yes.
Normally I'm here for the ride, and I am. This has definitely been like when you invited it. I think when you asked if I wanted to be on this episode, my response was hell yes.
Yes.
I was that excited to talk about this, and I've enjoyed this so much. It's been such a lovely conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, I have a new project out at the moment. Sorry, I've been. It's based on the technical difficulties, who are Tom Scott, Matt Gray, Gary Brennan, and Chris Joel, who originally did this game show concept called Two of These People Are Lying, which is just about reading something off Wikipedia and lying about it. You know, it's a good format. There's no prep needed whatsoever. Sorry, this is what I tell people when I'm asking them to come on. And I've recorded 2 episodes so far. So I've had Chris from Top Grumps. I've had Leon from Top Grumps. I've had the Trekking Boys on, Chris, Goodwill and Some Noise. And then I've had my sister and my brother-in-law because scarce guests. But it's a lot of fun to record. I was absolutely like red in the face on Monday when we did the last episode because Graham's just such a tour de force. And I will be getting in touch with the both of you to invite you on, so don't feel bad you haven't been invited yet.
That's really nice that it's, you know, it's something new that you're doing and you're inviting us on pretty early, unlike some people who waited quite a bit for us. I had to kind of beg to be invited on, to be honest.
I didn't want to be on Top Grumps, to be fair. I got forced. I got blackmailed. Chris got some evidence on us that I had to kind of like, oh shit, if that comes out, I'm fucked.
You know what? Lee gave me shit for having him on episode 2 instead of episode 1. And the reason he was on episode 2 is because when I have a chat with both of them on Discord where we talk about, we're talking about the episode we did together, which was Shrek. And I messaged him, I was like, hey, I've got this idea for a new concept. I'm not sure if it's going to be any good. And I was like midway typing through the next message, which was the concept. And Chris was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, I haven't told you what it is yet. And he was like, I don't care.
Yeah. Chris all over.
So Chris was just in it from the beginning, and Lee didn't reply at all. And then he's like, oh, I can't believe you invited us on for the second episode. I was like, you didn't respond.
Bless
him.
But yeah, no,
anyway,
it's so good. I'll be putting a link in below in the description. It's not there at the moment, but there will be a link in the description.
So I've started a new YouTube channel. It's called Bedlam Games. I'm not 100% on the name, but I was like, I think at some point, once I've got a good base of people who I can just bring in and mix up with the guests, we might end up playing different versions of the game. So at the minute, we're doing Two of These People Are Lying. We're in our first season. And yeah, it's going very well. It's very funny. I'm enjoying doing it a lot. So hopefully we'll have more of it.
That's the main thing. When you're enjoying it,
you gotta enjoy it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's
who cares, like everything else.
That's what we're promoting this year. This is what we stand by. You've got to love what you do. If you don't, get the fuck out.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here. Well, if you're stuck around and you're watching us on YouTube, please remember to like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. I sound pathetic, don't I? Hit the notification bell.
Hit the notification bell.
Just do it. So you never miss an episode. Audio for this episode and anything. It's just this one. Is it just this one this week?
Yeah, just this will be the only thing that goes out, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be up on Monday. So the time.
I am contemplating with the idea of turning the Top Grumps into a podcast if they can fulfill the demands of having at least a half an hour episode. Joe's turning on them now.
I'm not turning on them. I think the best way that this plays out is to just keep the joke there.
Right.
It's like Harry Kim never getting promoted in Star Trek. He just. It's like we went through 7 seasons and he just never got anything. Nothing changed for him, poor lad.
I fully agree. I feel like they need to stay as a web series, just because I want them to stay as a web series. But yeah, audio now goes up on a Monday. At 6 after 6 o'clock. I don't know what time.
There's not an extra time. It's when Sammy, because Sammy's a busy lady, bless her. She runs YouTube. She's got so many plates in the sky. But yes, so
she needs to get her life back in order again because it really went to shit this week. So yeah, it'll be up on Monday after 6 o'clock. But you'll be notified. We let you know. Just go and look at all of our socials. It's so much.
But just to give a few announcements for because I think we've not really did this for a while, and like just to give an idea of where we are with certain aspects, like the Facebook group is getting closer every day to 15,000 members.
That's a lot of nerds.
We're still, like say, we still are restricted on the Facebook page. That is meant to be coming up for up to be back to normal at the end of March, so we can start growing that again. But that again, even with the restrictions, we're at 71,000
Again,
followers.
A lot of nerds.
The YouTube channel has just hit a little bit of a landmark. We've just hit over 2,250 subscribers on the YouTube channel.
Keep it going.
And the Instagram is, again, we're only let's have a look, 10 followers away. Well, no, sorry, I've just read that wrong. We're 60 followers away, sorry, from 8,500 followers on Instagram. TikTok, we are growing every day, every second. Like
I don't know the numbers of that,
but it's amazing to see the growing. And check out the Nerdy Up North website as well. We are getting more and more people involved. We're getting the community involved. I think that's the important thing. Some of the articles we've had from, Sarah Peach. We've had movie reviews from Dave Hope. We've had movie reviews from me. We've had Jake with anti-AI articles. We've had Phoebes with her short stories. We've had short stories from the group as well, from other members. Everyone is basically getting involved. And again, I know it sounds something thing. There's a weird, nice feeling of writing something that you've personally done and having that put on the internet, and like say, and for you to share it to people and saying, "This is what I've done." And I'm happy to do that for any member of the community. All you need to do is reach out, send me a message, or send an email. The email address is on the Nerdy Up North website, which is www.nerdyupnorth.co.uk. You can see our videos for our YouTube channel. You can see our audio. You can see the friends of the channel. You can see, like I say, Joe's video is on the front page of the Nerdy Up North one as well.
My video's on the front page, but you haven't published that short story I sent you with the Sonic and Mario one, the fanfic.
That
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm a little scared. I was like, I don't think I've had that in my inbox.
It's so funny that this is how Nerdy Up North was pitched to me nearly 4 years ago. Paul
Finally got around to it.
Paul put a post up on YouTube, on Facebook saying, "This is what I'm looking to do," and I was like, "Hey, I used to do shit like this. I am so on board with that," and it just went from that. And we did it initially, like it got me back writing again, just for a very short period of time before I went, why don't we take this to YouTube?
And I said no.
And I went, please.
Yeah.
I was like, I have such a great idea, but I have no fucking idea how to do it. Let's work together, and you do everything.
Yes. Well, again, it's not down to us. It's not down to me. It's down to the community. We can only
and that's what we planned.
We can only do or get out of it what everyone puts in. So I think that's the important thing.
We wanted a safe space for nerds to be nerds, to be themselves.
For Joe. And we did it for Joe. That was the main thing.
Joe. We created the whole Facebook, and the website was created just for Joe.
And for Sonia and Coxie, who shits themselves on a night out.
Oh my god!
For the record, my brother-in-law did not shit himself on a night out. I have the official press release. No, imagine. I was going to say earlier when you said, if you had children, you would show them this movie, and I was like, in a way, Paul, we're all your children. Sammy's face there is just like, is it fuck?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, if you were your children, you'd be all dead to us by now. It's fine.
What the fuck, Dad? Now you sound like my dad.
I think on that we should wrap up, man.
So, same bat time, same bat channel.
Stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.
Bye.